Picture this, the exhaust from my long-haul truck still swirling in the scorching summer air after that grueling 1,200-mile trek, and before I could even kill the engine. This woman in a flashy lime tracksuit struts up my driveway in those ridiculous high-end stilettos, slamming a $500 ticket right onto my windshield like she's delivering some high-stakes legal bombshell. All because my moving van was supposedly shattering the perfect visual vibe of Oak Ridge Meadows. And right there in that moment, with sweat dripping down my back and boxes piled high, I knew I'd stepped into a suburban nightmare that was about to test every ounce of patience I had left. I'm Alex, and I hadn't even stepped foot inside the house when this HOA boss lady, let's call her Victoria, because that's exactly who she was, pulls out this massive pile of ready-made citations thicker than an old-school directory, hitting me with 14 counts of nonsense like the mailbox being a fraction too tall, the lawn a blade too long, even the shade of my welcome mat clashing with the neighborhood's so-called standards, and I swear, if there was a rule against exhaling too audibly, she'd have tacked that on too, her voice dripping with that fake politeness that barely hid the glee in her eyes as she laid out the ultimatum. 48 hours to cough up $2,100 or risk losing the place to foreclosure. But deep down, as I stood there forcing a calm smile, what really lit a spark in me was knowing she had no idea she'd just declared war on the man who happened to own the roof over her own head, the one collecting her monthly rent without her even realizing it. What would you do if some power-drunk HOA overlord hit you with a stack of fines before you could unpack a single suitcase? I mean, where are you tuning in from right now? And tell me in the comments your craziest run-in with these neighborhood dictators. But let me rewind just a bit to explain how I landed in this twisted tale of betrayal and comeback 3 months back in Tucson, where I'd built a solid career overseeing office buildings for a firm that suddenly deemed my whole team obsolete. After 2 decades of turning their assets into gold mines, handing me a flimsy box for my stuff and marching me out with security like I was some corporate thief. And as if that gut punch wasn't enough, my ex decided that was the perfect timing to drop the bomb that she was claiming our home and shacking up with her spiritual guru boyfriend named Zenith. This guy who hawks healing stones at local flea markets, leaving me reeling, homeless, heartbroken, until the call from my great-aunt Evelyn's estate attorney changed everything, announcing she'd willed me her cozy spot in Montana, a beacon of hope in my storm. Evelyn was my grandma's fierce sibling, this pint-sized powerhouse who could overhaul an engine in the morning and whip up a flawless fundraiser pie sale by afternoon, raising her trio of kids solo after Uncle Tom fell in Korea, slinging plates at the local eatery on double shifts while somehow managing to nurture every wandering feline within blocks, her spirit the kind that inspired quiet strength in everyone she touched. And from my years in real estate oversight, I'd picked up one golden rule: always dissect the small print, especially with these homeowner groups that operate like tiny fiefdoms ripe for abuse without any real checks. Remember this tidbit: those board folks carry the same legal responsibilities as big-shot executives, meaning they can get hit personally for mishandling cash. And trust me, that nugget would come roaring back later. The property perched on a sunny corner in Oak Ridge Meadows, a cozy 47-unit development that kicked off as working-class heaven back in '79, but had morphed into this uppity enclave over time, the sort where folks cruise in fancy sedans, yet bicker over who picks up the tab at group dinners, with dues skyrocketing to $180 a pop each month, allegedly funding greenery upkeep, the shared swimming area, and that vaguely threatening neighborhood quality control, which rang alarm bells in my gut. And, sure, the lawyer had hinted at Evelyn's lingering beef with the association, but I brushed it off as senior quirks. Maybe she opted for daisies over daffodils or dared to display a whimsical yard ornament. Oh, how naive I was, pulling up in that August blaze where the pavement reeked like melting rubber, and out steps Victoria from her gleaming silver Mercedes like a polished predator on the prowl. She was the epitome of that overzealous enforcer type, probably crowned prom royalty in '87 and chasing that rush of control ever since, her sporty ensemble screaming more dollars than most folks rent, a high-tech lens slung around her neck, as if she were chronicling atrocities rather than nitpicking curb appeal, circling my rig with the focus of a shark sensing blood, her shutter snapping relentlessly, grating on my nerves like nails on chalk, then unveiling those glossy, prepped infraction slips with gilded headers, and my details scripted in elegant swirls. This wasn't impromptu oppression. No, this was calculated administrative assault, declaring my rig a no-go in residential turf thanks to the worn logos from Tucson Realty Group, ignoring that it was my everyday wheels, as if a sticker alone turned it toxic. Continuing her dramatic flair, she waves at Evelyn's cherished blooming vines, those vibrant crimson climbers thriving since the Ford era, now deemed outlaw because no one filed the holy form with the almighty beauty council, and the mailbox showing surface were beyond acceptable limits. She intoned it like pronouncing a fatal illness, though it was just a few faint scuffs you'd miss without a magnifying glass. But what truly hooked my attention amid her show was the neighbors peeking from. Shades like spectators to a covert execution, not idly curious but palpably scared. An old lady opposite yanking her drapes closed at Victoria's glance. A man hosing his vehicle abruptly fixating on his wheels. And then she lands the gut blow, noting how the prior resident faced adherence issues prior to her regrettable demise. The chill in her tone suggesting Evelyn's passing was merely a box to tick. And though I held my tongue, requesting the group's rules and ledgers, it was like I'd demanded her deepest secrets. Everything abruptly locked behind protocols and approvals. But when I dropped my real estate expertise casually, her facade cracked, that syrupy grin faltering to reveal a hunter's edge, vowing strict actions as she sauntered off, saddling me with those sham penalties in a sense I'd been targeted for takedown. Yet unbeknownst to her, my portfolio included properties far and wide, one being the very abode she rented, blissfully ignorant. The dawn after, a formal missive jammed in my entry like a sinister ultimatum. Victoria ramping up with tactics that'd envy military minds. Not a mere ticket, but a barrage cloaked in official seals, laced with venom that could fuel a regime, insisting on instant settlement now bloated to $2,875 via mystery charges and overnight accruals breeding like pests, complete with angled snapshots worthy of crime scene pros, lien warnings in a month, and copies blasted to managers and a sleazy attorney, sounding like he thrived on evicting the vulnerable. But here's her initial blunder, pegging me as another cowed owner who'd fold easy, overlooking how decades in the biz hones your eye for the overlooked clauses everyone schemes like app agreements. So I headed to the county archives, that dingy den worse than motor vehicle waits, with harsh lights casting undead glows, dusty tomes mingled with dashed hopes, staff eyeing you like a personal burden, yet public docs meant her domain bowed to real laws, not her cocktail napkin edicts. And what I unearthed was spicier than tabloid dirt. The founding 1983 charter, a slim dozen pages of sensible neighbor do's and don'ts, tidy lawns, no circus hues on facades, no auto lots and drives. But it had bloated to a 47-page decree dictating decor seasons to pet paths, and I recalled amendments need owner ballots, sans which they're as enforceable as candy kettles. Plus Evelyn's plot held legacy exemptions for her plantings, those vines shielded as heritage growths, rendering her gripes null as shopping memos. But the jackpot lurked in the fiscal logs, mine by right as an owner, numbers skewing wild, costs puffed like holiday balloons, budgets seemingly sketched from mystic sayings, and then Margaret appears like a spectral info guardian, this 78-year-old ex-archivist who'd spied from her stoop, deeming me reliable for the scoop, whispering, "You're probing the HOA. Good. It's overdue." Her binder hefty as armor, chronicling Victoria's tyranny with librarian precision over 4 decades, a dozen clans. Hit in 24 months via scripted overkill fines, tight timelines, undercut sales, and guess whose agency snagged the deals? No prizes for nailing it. Reese Sr.'s ousted already. Mrs. Clara dinged for a post tilting barely 2 degrees. The Garcia crew for kids' playthings daring visibility. Mr. Ellis, a World War II hero, penalized for his flag's supposed mismatch to its staff. That same day, Victoria rolls back with reinforcements, her beau Derek flashing a phony guard emblem likely mail-ordered from joke shops, demanding interior checks for made-up indoor breaches, which I shut down citing constitutional shields and owner sanctity. Derek snapping pics through glass like a budget sleuth, prompting my first jab, voicing aloud for ears around that the budget claimed $40,000 on grounds, but the vendor got just $15,000, pondering the vanished quarter, the hush so profound. A whisper would have echoed. Victoria flushing through hues like a glitching billboard. Derek bolting for phantom errands. Them fleeing to the Mercedes swifter than shadows from dawn. Her parting vow of dire reprisals met with my cheery salute. Since the game was just heating up, her retort to my fiscal poke as blunt as hurled stones. Next morn over brew and dawn rays, a municipal inspector truck arrives. The guy stepping out apologetic as if dragged to doom, mumbling a report of derelict work. Vehicle, circling my legit pickup, finding zilch, sorry for the bother, but confiding the Dawn tipster knew my spot and specs too well for chance. Hours later, a state board rings about unlicensed ops from home. The probe quick, me clarifying the move and remnant stickers, shut in minutes. But the signal clear, she was swinging heavy. Midnight gravel crunches alert me, solitude sharpening senses to intruders, peering to spot her Mercedes lurking like a stealthy fiend. Dawn revealing scrawled mailbox marks for fresh gripes and precise poop on steps. No strays whim. Lucky my cams were fresh installed. Paranoia from tenant dodges paying off. Footage gold with her car at 217. Plates crisp. Derek fumbling like a bungling shadow. Yet while they dabbled in petty sabotage, I plunged into fiscal depths twistier than bakery blasts. The grounds gap mere starter. The pool deal a gem at $800 monthly for a pint-sized dip barely used like desert ice. Quotes pegging norms at $200. But Premier Pool Care commanded premium despite the swampy mess reeking of ancient decay. Grounds packed $3,000 for scant mows and clips. My mall budget's leaner. Summit Green Services elite if sporadic hacks counted. Legal tabs $15,000 yearly for petty patrols. Most groups budgeting peanuts and less in crisis. But mailbox wars evidently needed merger. Level lawyering, my digs drawing comrades. Harold, a nom-survivor with mechanic mitts, dropping by with ale and insights. Isabella, solo parent paralegal, lending research chops. Even Reverend Thompson popping in, irked by her bids to ticket church crowds. But Victoria kept her bully playbook rolling, lodging a cop complaint of my aggressive fiscal threats. Officer Ramirez arriving weary, eyeing my tape and spotting the farce, advising thorough logs as patterns worsen pre-better, her epic flub demanding my cuffing for peace breach and official intimidation. HOA helm now civic duty, his retort steady, querying funds no felony, false claims yes. As he departed and she stormed off, it dawned she wasn't mere bully but cornered, rapid ramp signaling. Buried sins, and in Evelyn's loft, I'd unearthed them, her panic peaking with a rushed board huddle on 24-hour alert, breaching 72-hour mandates, frantic souls ignoring details, plowing through wrecks, convened in her den like a summons to a scented tribunal, seats rigged judicial with her at a grand timber throne costing fortunes. Her firm branded docket sole on evicting 1247, Elm Lane. Quorum short at 3 of 5, others ghosting, barring votes beyond snacks, yet she charged on breakless, till Margaret bursts in as procedural savior, reciting order codes poetically, no biz sans majority, void session, Victoria's veneer shattering in shrieks labeling her nosy relic, vowing penalties for meddling, morphing from posh to feral and blinks. Amid her unravel, Isabella's digs sparked my pro instincts, webs of dummies naughtier than storm-tossed decor. Summit Green her kin's 23-year-old flop from retail and deliveries. Premier Pool Derek's YouTube-schooled venture. Premier Legal Advisors her dorm pals outfit twisting regs creatively. All ties charging extravagance. Classic graft I'd spied in biz. Insiders funneling deals and siphoning like backyard mobs. The true clincher violation maps. Not haphazard but precise, preying on elders. Lone folks, weak fighters, the millers gnomed out while mansions flouted unchecked. My casual brews at Sonny's Cafe, evolving to rebel hubs. 24 spilling tales of torment. Mrs. Ellis fined for hubby tribute flag. The Wilsons for lingering kid sketches, play now outlawed. Harold's infra audit sealed her fate, his bridge building past lending weight. Report a ledger horror of phantom fixes. Drains on scrolls alone. Security alone busted lens at foliage. Then Victoria detonates, hiring a cut-rate snoop for my dirt. Whispers whirling like fellowship chatter. My service exit dishonored falsely. Tucson ties Gangish absurdly. Inheritance via extortion post-mortem impossibly. Hints racial unsubtle, stoking fears of my outsider wrecking. Fake profiles peddling untruths. Credible as troll leads. But as she wove deceptions, I stacked proofs meticulously. FBNV detail. Her last gasp, a mailed demand for $47,000 phantom upgrades like parks and guards unreal. Due swift or seizure. Me chuckling at the gift of excess. Ripe for contract-savvy counter. Court docs landing on a stormy Thursday. Scented revolutionary. Her veils torn across my spread like scene clues. Dwarfing my fraud lore to amateur acts. $300,000 siphoned via Ponzi elegance impressing scammers. Not schemes but laundry veiled as progress. Bogus levies. Undelivered bills. Kin contractors fresh licensed. The twist in titles. Evelyn's land holding modest oil veins. Northern Plains Resources royalties 3 years running to owners. Diverted to funds she solo signed. $18,000 mine pilfered. Fueling my audit call back to her ascent. The vault key nestled in her vintage cook trove amid pie and stew notes. Contents prosecutorial dreams. Tapes of her confessing ledger bins. Forged votes. Statements masking theft. But her final scrawl hammered me. Alex, if this reaches you. Victoria Langford likely. Ravaged our haven. I compiled what I could, but age wearies the fight. Perhaps not you. Evidence enclosed. Exact dues for neighbor wrongs. Her coronary no fluke. Records subpoenaed showing spikes, sinking harassment onset. Stress lethal. Her foe's exit likely toasted. Shifting my drive to tribute a guardian's last stand against a leech. This transcended trivia like posts or turf. Honoring her vigil, shielding kin from claws. Proofs stacking fed offenses like postal scams. Wire tricks. Embezzlement FBI scale. License breaches etched fine. Haul nearing $450,000 blending hikes. Fakes. Swiped yields. Her blind to the arsenal. Seeing mere griper. Unaware Evelyn forged unbreakable chains I now wielded. Annual summit law mandated. Uncancelable post notice. Needing 2/3 for keys. 32 souls. My cafe spies netting 31 pledges rising. Her empire crumbling unaware. Evelyn's eatery a command post hybrid FBI lair. Antique slab shoved for crates. Docs. Conspiracy webs string linked. Margaret my intel head with treats and sorting prowess. Isabella research deity. Outshining lawyers per my counsel. Tables rainbow tagged infractions. Assembling the squad like fraud-busting heroes. Rachel Simmons lead with 15 years making crooks weep. Her auditor piercing oligarch mazes. PI crime-focused. Media vet freelance. State protector volunteering signaling gravity beyond spats. Organizing bloomed campaign style. Canvassing rights and scams. Isabella's chat swelling to 37 sharing snaps and fears shed. Reverend Thompson's cellar lending sanctity. Harold exposing infra fibs like ghost roads. Dummy drains. Tree-aimed cam. Auditor's trace. Surgical through summoned ledgers. Simple yet sinister flows to kin shells into her pots. Charts mob-like true. Isabella flooding courts with halts. Freezes. Referrals. Suits. Oust petitions for duty breaches. Media hinged on Emily Harper. Corruption hound leaping at our saga like holiday gold. Affiliate eyeing fraud scope and senior plights. Proofs ballooning 847 leaves of ledgers. Tapes. Clips. Tails. Visuals judgebait with contrast stark. Ghost parks invoiced. Undone paths billed. Hack jobs paid. Rehearsing with theater troupe for heckler prep. Counters camera ready. Know-how handbooked on transparency flags. Duties mirroring execs liable personally. Texas case recalling asset payouts post-audit. Thefts. Center booked with recorders. Observers AG sent. Press ensuring honesty under lights. Eve Pryor in her kitchen amid proofs and backs. Comms surged like service days. Righteous prep. Her oblivious to the storm. Victoria's coalition shock like trapped beast sensing snares. Gossip wires buzzing her intel. Flipping her lid. Axing the meat on threat pretexts. Ironic from elder terrorizer fearing her skin. But statutes firm on mandated forums. No ditching votes. Guards hired backfiring as pros balk at thug rolls sans threats defined. Rumors laughable in desperation. Me plotting value-crashing violence with dangerous hordes. Telling Mrs. Garcia of gang sieges. News to our librarian vet choir. Finances. Critical with $89,000 pull foiled by freezes. Shred bids adding blocks. Accountant bribe via cuts. Ignorant of witness tampering jails. Stocks escalating X level. Bogus reviews branding me volatile. DMV lies on mods. Derek tailing interviews adding harassment zest unwelcome. Her grocery shadowing aisle end like spy farce. Manager dubbing it pursuit and ejecting. Coalition tickets petty peaks. Margaret Bird feeds wildlife lures. Isabella bike garages wrong. Harold Flag, Hughes holiday bard. Seniors wee hour whispers, threatening meddlers. Margaret's windshield web overnight signaling damage willingness. Isabella's wilted blooms note, but out or else. Brick subtle, yet coward veiled. Reports to Ramirez padding her dossier. Us not pioneers, me logging every jab for charges. Her enabler counsel bailing on crim risks. Fresh rep, plea bargaining partial pays for leniency. Me nixing sands fulls and trials. Justice for Evelyn and futures. Rally restoring faith with signs for openness. Biz aids venues. Ex-cop security, meet nearing her. Nuclear, each flop bolstering us. Unifying against. Terror thriving till fear flips to fury. Victoria's ultimate breakdown ignited realizing charges locked. FBI probing. AG casing. Counsel ditching toxicity. Her ploy a mad dash to kin in Idaho. State hops no Fed shield. Plans crumbling with frozen plastics. And Mercedes conking near Billings. Mastermind stranded sans tow funds. Slinking back disheveled car lived. Neighbors gawking failed flight. Her peak desperation clumsy bribe at my threshold. Midnight with $50,000 sack as sorry funds. Phrasing in this mess, like mini-mobster. Unknown my FBI wire from Agent Lopez post-flee. My biz making me sting ace. Tape epic 47 minutes confessing fun dips. Fake hikes. Creative books for Lux. Fave her communities run thus. Sheep need shepherds. I serviced. Agent likely snapping leads. Bribe felony stacking. Confession ironclad for slams. Solidarity Union proud. 41 homes backing. 6 Kindetter holdouts. Elder fund $12,000 grassroots. Eatery catering. Hardware fixes. Mailman flagging tampers seriously. National waves via abuse nets. Support floods. Hashtag Evelyn Force trending pro circles. Her career card house hurricane toppled. Brokerage axing post-bribe leak. Board suspending. Clients piling ethics gripes. Bankruptcy asset hides prosecutor baiting. Ironic her pad foreclosing. Threatener unpaid once exposed. Karma verse pure, last. Ploy theater claiming me saboteur. Pinning managers. Packing with Derek kin. Recruiting nearby HOAs on interference fears. But me polishing expose eternal. Auditor cleared devastating. Legal tally 12 felonies solid. Herald proving waste ghosts. PI catching crimes live. Meet Eve I graveside whisper to Evelyn of proofs. Unity, justice brewing. Warm dusk fireflies dancing stonetop. Morrow her reckoning her seed sown. Me ensuring homage each beat. Center dawn electric pre-storm. Folks early with seats and Joe claiming spots for decade drama. Brew sense mingling jitters and polish. 73 crammed in 50 cap. With press rigging like summit coverage. Emily notepad primed. Affiliate sleuth present. Corruption ratings gold. Victoria tardy grand with entourage reluctant. Blazer barking command. Case threats over authority. Opener my oust for disruption risks. Margaret rising procedural thunder. Law demands input pre-biz. No boot sans process. Cheers erupting her Hughes mood shifting. Gavel feudal on crowd deaf. Me flooring confident evidence armed loss free. Tributing Evelyn's community love fueling her proof hoard against greed. Slides missile striking with theft charts $447,000. Contrasts phantom works. Her tapes admitting tweaks and sheep slurs. Gasps outrage. Elder sobs targeting dawn. Shouts racist patterns. Defining interrupt her screeching fakes and plots. Fatal race jab distrusting his sort values. Silence, then fury blast from decades bonded souls rejecting division. Clincher bribe, tape her voice, damning manipulations. Derek legality cry. Quashed by Rachel citing consent laws. Her grief stages rapid. Detective Jenkins announcing charges prepped. FBI Fed review. AG civils. License gone. Vote merciless board boot unanimous. Her defeated exit. Interim Helmy oversight. Prosecution acclaimed. Indie managers anti-graft. Cam's catching her rage conspiracies while Derek restrains. My rehearsed aunt taught trust over fear. Today reclaim. Ovation 5-minute vindicating bullied. Ousted, silenced. Justice room temp amid Joe victory. Whiffs. Half year on. Banners blared ex-head 4 years fed for scams and posts. Plea post council gravity chat. Derek 18 accomplice months. Ken Green's IRS folded on tax twists. Seizures $312,000 banks homes ride symbolic tyranny. Funds real upgrades imagine. Pool pristine swimmable sand slime. Dues have $95 honest proof. Playground symbol collaborative triumph. Sighted kids swinging on thief loot. Poetic. My Alex Oversight Services booming 23 clients million recoveries. From jobless to hero swift. Ripple State Alex Act unnamed, but inspired auditing big HOA's protections penalties. Spreads nationwide corruption admitted. Evelyn's Bloom's Memorial Hub, with Toolshare's cat feeds tradition. Fund aiding seniors. Margaret chronicling shift tyranny to vote. Isabella certified nonprofit abuse aid. Harold steering real works. Second Evelyn Fest 200+ news covered ordinary extraordinary refusing norms. Crew strategy templating law study nationwide. Evelyn chuckle her proofs classroom fair. But evening strolling kids free elders tending neighbors chatting barbecue laughs replacing dread whispers. Values up 12% trust trumping rules. Who'd guess? Systems work when upright force it. Ant schooling worth battles David topples giants via proofs laws unity. Closure in reclaimed peace honoring her sacrifice against injustice. Her memory eternal in every bloom and laugh. But now, think about it. Was this revenge justified or overreach? Where does justice end and vendetta begin? And how far should one go for community right? Drop thoughts below on ethics in such fights.